Welcome back to the Home of Horror podcast.
What is cracking?
Must be a mutation, a freak of nature. The stories of the brutal murder.
Less is more. You want more brutality. I like The Fog, I like The Mist, I like both of them.
I'm not asking if you like both of them, dude.
Surely I made enough noise to awaken the dead.
And welcome back to the Home of Horror podcast. I'm your host, John. This is my co-host, Matt. Matt, say hi.
What is cracking?
We got a doozy for you, folks.
Always a fucking doozy.
Always a doozy.
Yeah. When are we going to get the shirts made up that say always a doozy?
I know. If people let us know that they'll buy them, we'll definitely make them up.
Right. Always a doozy, motherfucker.
You know, we got a couple hundred people listening and shit. So
right.
we're you know, maybe a couple of them will buy one. Today we have a great episode for you folks. We are doing the Lords of Salem 2012.
Love it.
Rob Zombie.
Yep. And I'm not, you know, we've done Rob Zombie. We've done House before, and we kind of got into
Three from Hell
right.
and Devil's Rejects.
Three from Hell, you mean the Expendables fucking 6.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this movie is a little bit different.
This movie's a little different.
Yeah,
100%.
I like this movie a lot. You know what this movie reminded me of? This was kind of Midsummer before Midsummer.
Don't.
No, I'm saying like in the sense of like that culty feel of like an innocent girl kind of being...
Baby ain't innocent in any way, shape, or form, though. I mean, she's not an innocent girl. Even
in this movie, I mean, a little bit more than, you know...
She's a recovering addict.
Well, she's just a regular person.
She's a regular person.
That gets drawn into this cult-like scenario.
I know we're jumping right in here.
Yeah, I love it.
Do you think that Baby, that he would be better suited at certain points in times to go with a different actress? To go, I mean, I think Baby was great in this movie. I'm not saying that she wasn't. I thought she was really good in this movie, really solid. Halloween, not so much. His Halloween movies, not so much. I think he would have been better suited with a different actress.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes he just falls into that.
Well, I think it's easy because you're
fucking her.
Yeah.
And when he writes, he probably has her in mind to play these roles. Yeah. Well, so that's a whole different.
And it's money for their family as well.
Oh, no, absolutely.
You know, you're almost kind of saving money because you're putting money into your own pocket a little bit more. And that's, right. I'm not saying anything bad about Rob Zombie or Sherry Moon. I'm just saying it probably works. It works out that way anyway, you know?
Right.
But let's reverse that too. You know, she's not in anything really without Rob Zombie. When I was watching this film again, I was kind of like, man, I would like to see her in a role that her husband did not direct.
Right.
Because I really think that it would...
Please silence all your cell phones and devices.
Silence all your cell phones, please. Yeah, I think I would like to see her in a role without her husband directing. And see how she would do it. Because I think she has a lot of potential.
And vice versa. I'd like to see him with a real mainstream actress that could do some of these roles. I mean, and like I said, I thought she killed it in this role. I thought she was really good in this one. She was good in House. She was good in Devil's Rejects. Three from Hell, it really rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know. Yeah. I mean,
and she's also fine in the first Halloween. Like, she doesn't have a big role.
Agreed.
In the second one, it's too much.
In the second one, they try to. It's almost like they force fed it to us that she had to be in it, and that she would. I mean, they almost had to write her in it.
Yeah, and they give Michael a purpose, and it's just a little weird,
right?
But in this movie, you know, if we're talking about this movie alone, which obviously we are, great acting, great. You know, this was produced by not only Rob Zombie but Oren Peli, who did the Insidious movies,
right?
And the Paranormal Activity movies. Jason Blum, who the part of Blumhouse, like you know, Halloween 2018, all the Blumhouse movies. I was surprised by that. I didn't really notice when I first, you know, I've seen this movie a few times, and I really think that it's a movie that you have to watch a few times, if you're asking me, because there's a lot that you can miss.
And this was the third movie from Haunted Movies. Okay.
Okay.
And the other two, do you know them? The Insidious was one.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's an all-time personal favorite of yours. The Bay was the other one.
Anchor Bay, right? Anchor Bay Films.
No, The Bay.
Yeah, I know, but it was because it was done by Anchor Bay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the production company was Anchor Bay.
I just knew this was haunted movies.
Yeah. Anchor Bay produced all of those and shit.
When I read that, I was like, "Oh, JT would fucking love that." The Bay.
I do like The Bay, man.
I know you do.
That's a good
I was
footage
actually
movie.
at the movie store the other day.
I saw it. You sent me that picture.
I was like, "Oh, The Bay. It's like $2." It's like, go fucking figure, brand new. You fucking.
It's not worth more than $2.
No,
I can tell you that.
It's definitely not.
So jumping right into this movie, one thing that stood out to me is obviously with all his movies is the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So killer every time, including the original pieces for the Lords of Salem themselves. So eerie, so cool sounding though. Like he's so good at doing that.
Yeah.
And obviously it's because he's a musician. He picks the right mood for every scene.
Right.
And I just thought that was so good, man. Everything you hear from beginning to end fits the movie perfectly. Yeah. And it feels, it feels like a Rob Zombie movie.
It does. Right from jump, it feels like a Rob Zombie movie. And John 5 and Griffin Boyce was the one who did
John 5 is obviously his guitarist.
Yeah.
Who's done stuff for Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
A couple other people. And David Lee Roth, I think. Just really, really good music, dude.
Yeah.
So killer.
And that tune, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like
just
4 notes.
It's very ominous.
And it's all done with like, besides when they play it on the piano, it's all done on like really old instruments that they would have used.
And we've talked about that in the past with the waterphone and stuff like that with the Witch, where they did all that music with instruments that are not mainstream, that are not really played today. And I think that makes a world of fucking difference when you listen to it, because it's not something you hear.
No.
You know what I mean? It gives you that feeling like, whoa, what the fuck is that thing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's in this movie, you know, we've already talked about The Witch in another episode, but you know, what we did talk about was how The Witch was really to its time and what these people, it's a period piece, and what these people really felt like.
Right, the fear of God, they were a true God-fearing people,
and how witches were. And but there is that sense of a little bit of fantasy where the old witch turns into the beautiful woman. You know what I mean? Which, you know, they probably did believe. Now, Lords of Salem takes that like the next level up, where it's like very gruesome, very dirty.
Yeah, and you see,
very satanic.
Yes. Right
style,
from jump.
You know what I mean?
Right from jump, yeah.
And I really, really wish that we would have seen more of the old Salem in Lords of Salem. The way Rob Zombie was depicting it, I wish we would have gotten more flashbacks.
Well, this movie was rushed. He had to really rush filming on this. I think he would have done more of that.
Yeah.
Had he had time. He had a tour that he was supposed to go on to, and it was like shooting, and then as soon as shooting wrapped, he almost had to go on tour with his band, and that was it. And there was a lot of things he said he had to cut out, you know, even some of the acting stuff that had to be cut out that he was kind of bummed out about.
Yeah. And if you notice too, like even all the old Salem like period pieces of the movie where it's in old Salem 1690s and shit, it's all like really close framed. And like, so you don't see a lot of background. He didn't like put you right directly. Well, I guess he kind of did put you right directly into the scene, but it's very dark.
Yeah, you're not getting a sense of what the town was.
No, and it kind of takes you out of it a little bit in that sense. So I really wish we would have gotten more of those flashbacks.
The budget wasn't very big.
No, but those were my favorite parts.
What was it? $1.5 million? $1.5 million budget. That's nothing.
That's nothing.
That is nothing. And for what they did with a $1.5 million budget, that's unbelievable.
It looks great, man.
It looks really good.
And some of the torture tools they use, and you see some of that in the modern day scenes as well. Yeah. But like, I really would have liked to seen more of Hawthorne, more of Dean Magnus, who's played by none other than the legend Sid Haig.
Right.
And you don't really get him that, you know, you only get him in that like one scene, one or two scenes. I would have liked to see more conversation, more dialogue in that sense, because obviously we get the story in the modern day when is it Matthias? Is that his name? Matthias. When he's talking to his buddy there from the museum, saying, "Hey, this is what happened. This is why Hawthorne was obsessed with the Lords of Salem, the six witches, and how they were using satanic music to kind of possess the daughters of Salem, quote unquote." I wish we would have got that dialogue in the flashbacks rather.
Agreed.
And I'm sure that's where he cut the budget cuts were,
Yep.
Tell the story instead in modern day rather than showing the flashback because you need more money. You have to have an entire town, which obviously he didn't have. But man, I really wish we got that. That would have made this movie dude, if we had more of that, that would have put Lords of Salem on top for me as far as Rob Zombie films go.
Right.
If we would have had those flashbacks, I mean, damn,
where does this rank as far as Rob Zombie's?
For me, it goes House, Lords of Salem, Devil's Rejects, and I mean 3 from Hell and 31 or 31.
Right.
Well, yeah, I'll put Halloween in there, the first one for sure.
The first Halloween was classic.
It's really good, but it's also just a retelling of the story.
And this was Rob Zombie's real first shot at. He has complete control.
Yeah,
I mean, there was nobody coming in and telling him to do anything different. This was his movie. This was.
Oh yeah, and by the way, with some heavy hitters behind him.
Absolutely, yes.
With not only with producers with Oren Peli and Jason Blum, but actors with Meg Foster. Jeff Daniel Phillips, Sid Haig, Dee Wallace, who does no wrong. Right. I mean, big hitters, man, that was just could have been even more if the budget was there.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It was his first, I get to say how this goes, and I just think it could have been way bigger. But it also was just so dark. It's such a dark movie that obviously I don't know if you can just put it in theaters. It's probably not going to do well.
No, probably not. I mean, you're going to get the cult following like you would. We talk about it all the time. Horror movies is a different media because you want that hard copy. You want it.
Yeah, exactly. The physical media.
They're collectors, right?
Yeah.
A lot of horror fans are collectors.
Yeah.
So they almost wait. You know what I mean? And with everything that's gone on in the last few years with this shit, I mean, horror is taking even bigger hit. Absolutely. I mean, you saw Halloween get pushed off.
Scream's getting pushed off.
The Lodge didn't go to theaters. It went right to Hulu.
Which easily could have gone to theaters.
That one could have gone to theaters. So,
and then even with the horror genre.
And I think with everything that's gone on, you're going to see a lot of people go away from that now. I think there was another movie with Denzel Washington that was just released that went to HBO. You know what I mean? It's in theaters, but it's also on HBO.
HBO Max.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are going that route. Instead of going out, they're staying in. They want to watch it in the comfort of their own home, which...
It's fine.
That's fine, right?
Because we're probably going to do an episode of when Godzilla vs. Kong comes out.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we'll do a whole, we'll probably go live on Instagram for that and just watch watch the whole kaiju universe movies before, leading up to Godzilla vs. Kong, because that's going to be really cool. I like the sense that, especially being podcasters and reviewers, right? We get to watch the movie and then immediately do a podcast. You know what I mean? Which is going to be really cool. So I don't mind it going straight to movies, but obviously I do miss the movie theater as well. I miss walking down that long hallway with all the posters and
the smell of the popcorn.
Yeah, just everything about it. And you just make a night out of it. You go out to dinner, you go see it, but you're right. With horror, it's a lot different. It's all about physical media and collecting. And I think most horror fans and horror directors kind of embrace that. They kind of feel like the outcasts. Like, hey, if you don't want us there, we won't be there anyway. We're going to... Well, wait. It's kind of like, we didn't get invited. You don't want us at prom. We're going to go throw the party out on the lake. You know what I mean? Right. It's that type of feeling.
Yep. And I've been looking for this. Richard Lynch was also supposed to be a part in this movie.
Oh, man.
But he was very sick when they were doing it. They had him in. He was almost blind when he was doing it, so he couldn't remember his lines. No. And then there was they said, well, let's just read this and then we'll do a voiceover, all this stuff. You read these lines, and he had a hard time doing it because he was blind. So they had to cut the whole thing out.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of worth mentioning because they really tried to get him part of this. And then he died in 2012 anyways.
Yeah.
So he was really on his last legs, but I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. And that was another thing that he really wanted to get involved in this movie, that they just didn't have time. They didn't have time for the reshoots. They didn't have time to, I mean, to go back and change things.
Absolutely.
Or whatever. And you know what else I just remembered? We didn't take a shot to start this episode.
Ooh,
so
I'm down with it, man, because we've already
right,
taken a few.
So cheers, buddy.
Cheers, man. They go down smoother every time.
Every time.
So what I wanted to mention this too. And me and you both feel, we have mixed feelings about sequels and prequels and stuff like that. This is a movie that I really think could be a trilogy. I would really love to see a prequel to this movie. If Rob Zombie got funding to do an old period piece with the Salem witches,
with Hawthorne, Reverend Hawthorne, dude,
Margaret Morgan and the witches,
yep.
the Lords of Salem versus Hawthorne and Dean Magnus.
And
if
then
you did that whole play out,
exactly,
I would love to see.
See, I love that type of shit too.
Oh, I would love to see that.
I'm a sucker for the Crucible. I'm a sucker for the Witch. I'm a sucker for all that old school.
Exactly, the period pieces are huge, man, and you don't get a lot in the horror genre as far as period pieces go, especially that far back.
No. And I think we love it more because we're New England kids.
Exactly. Of course.
We've been taught about that. Do you think other people, say in Kansas or California or wherever, do you think they get taught in depth about the Salem witch trials like we do here in
Definitely
Maine?
Not as much. I think it's in the history books. But
I do
it's
too.
Probably maybe a couple classes. Whereas here it's like you take the trip to Salem.
Right.
I personally didn't, but a lot of schools do. You take that trip to Salem. Yeah,
we did.
And that's a big thing. So not as much for sure.
You guys didn't take the trip to Salem? That shocks me.
We did not. It might have been like probably
because yours is really a low budget.
Okay, here we go. For everybody who doesn't know out there, our high schools were rivals, biggest rivals, like in New England,
right?
But no, yeah, I think maybe it could have probably been like an outing, like a club thing, or like if you were interested,
right?
There was things going, but no, we never took like the actual trip down. But I know a lot of schools do, but you do learn extensively more here than you do.
See, that's what I was wondering.
And you have access.
Yeah,
and you have access,
right?
So if you want to just go learn,
well, it's almost just like Plymouth, Plymouth Rock.
Exactly.
I mean, the first time you see Plymouth Rock, I know we're getting way off fucking topic. It's
a
literally a rock.
It's
not. It's as big as this fucking.
And
table.
guess what? It's probably not the Rock.
No, probably not.
I mean, do you honestly think it's the Rock? It's probably not the Rock.
Probably.
I roomed. We're getting way off topic. My roommate when I lived in Boston was from Plymouth, and he's like, "Dude, that's not the Rock." He's like, there's no way that's the Rock. And it's like a local hangout for like pot smokers. Like, if you smoke weed, like you go to the Rock and like you go to that like Bay Area and you smoke weed.
Right.
Like, it's like a party place.
Yeah.
And
I want to say when I went, it was like graffitied and stuff. People had graffitied it. There was trash and
you just don't know.
Because literally, it's just a caged area with there's a hole with a rock in it, and you look at it, and I remember because you read all these books growing up, Plymouth Rock, and it's like this fucking. It's like when you go to the coast and you're on the rock, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you're thinking Plymouth Rock like that.
No.
And then you get there and you're like, that's a literal rock.
Yeah, it's like something they wrap the anchor chain around
exactly.
or something,
Yeah, and I don't even know if that would hold the Mayflower,
the Nina. I think maybe from like journals they picked up that maybe it was around that vicinity and they knew that it's a possibility that was there.
Right.
But I think when you live in New England, you it's a little bit more extensive, where, it's here. It's an hour and a half away.
Right.
And I know, and it's really cool. And it's just, if you're from here, you understand that there's this creepy feeling in New England. It's very old. Right, yeah. Because I know, like, when my son grows up, I'm going to take him. Because I've gone to Salem multiple times. I used to go every year. I went 6 years in a row before fucking COVID hit. Yep. And it was do all the tours, all this shit. Like, I love doing it. And, like, I'm going to take my son to do that. And so I think even from a young age, you even your parents might take you and even before school, you learn about this shit and what happened and all that stuff.
I'm a history buff, man. I love history. I love the history of things, and
I think most people in New England kind of are, because there's
so much history here.
Yeah, you're prone to it anyway, so it definitely hits a little bit different. So we kind of just went into a history lesson there, but. Back
to Lords of Salem now. Back to our regularly scheduled program.
Well, this kind of ties in because a lot of this movie was shot in Salem.
Yes, it was.
And there's a lot of cool shots that I even recognize from my trips there. In front of the Bewitched statue. And I get pizza there every time I go. Me and my wife, we always go. Me and Sanford as well, who you guys heard on Dave from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre episode, who will be back on soon. We're going to do some foreign films at some point. We get pizza right in that shot. When you see her walk by the Bewitched statue, we get pizza right there. Yeah. She goes to the old Colonial Theater where she has her like AA meetings.
Yeah.
You go in there and you do a tour.
And I think that's almost lost on a lot of people when they watch this, because that's the only shot you see of her that gives you the sense that she's a recovering addict. Yeah. You know what I mean? And she's had some problems. Right. She doesn't talk. She's listening to the guy and he's saying, like, listen to me. I know I didn't want to listen to anybody else, but I'm telling you now what I was always told, blah, 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 all this shit. And she doesn't talk. And it's probably like a minute scene. You know what I mean? In the movie. And you see them talking at the end and that's it. But then when shit starts to go down, and after she's heard the music and all this stuff, I know we're kind of jumping ahead here, but when she hears the music and then she shows up late to the studio and she's sweating and she's
exactly
that's what a junkie looks like.
Exactly.
I mean, you know what I mean? So Whitey and Herman are looking at her like,
what's going on?
Okay, well, I think they kind of assume what's going on, that she's back on whatever she's doing, heroin, I would assume.
Either that or crack. It kind of looks like some crack there at the end.
She's cooking something up, and it could be either one.
Yeah.
So,
especially when she's listening to like Spanish videos.
Right.
Or whatever,
Right. She just looks real bad.
Yeah.
And they did a good job of that, making her look bad.
Well, what's really cool is like I said, if you watch this movie a few times, you pick up on more and more. And that's one of them, where she is a recovering addict. And if you kind of think about the entire situation, which, like we said, Rob Zombie didn't have the budget that you would want to have for a movie like this.
That's no budget. I mean, that's literally no budget. By the time you pay your actors,
stretched that shit, dude.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
Well, he used old reliables, man.
Yeah.
I mean, all these guys are, Jeffrey Daniels Phillip.
Yeah.
And
who, by the way, I'm pretty sure was the caveman in the old Geico commercials. So
really?
A caveman can do it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's him, dude. Fact check that, people who are listening. Fact check that.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's the caveman. So easy a caveman can do it. But and here's another thing about why we went into the history of Salem, because this movie goes in depth a little bit. In the movie you know her as Heidi LaRock, right?
Right.
But her real last name is Hawthorne. Who obviously,
and you don't find that out till later. And she kind of alludes to it earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
I didn't even think anybody knew my real name.
Yeah,
when they send the record, right? The fucking internet, right? Which is fucking true. I mean,
of course,
you can find anything about anything. It might not be true.
No, but it's also interesting because it's like you picture it from like someone who lives in Salem. If you were actually a descendant of Hawthorne.
Right.
During these times where like kids would go, see the museums and stuff, and how Hawthorne accused all these people who in reality it was just a hysteria.
Right.
Right. It was innocent people who were being burned at the stake.
Yeah. Who did not, who somebody who, predicted the sex of somebody's child.
Exactly.
I mean, it could be something that
stupid.
Minor.
Yeah.
That, you're going to have a boy or you're going to have a girl. If they do it twice, then it's like, holy shit, this fucking bitch is a witch. Burn that motherfucker.
Or if a woman had too much ale and like was outside naked or something, you're fucked, man.
Right.
So this guy who accused all of these people, John Hawthorne was a real person.
Right.
He was one of the main judges on the witch trials.
Mm-hmm.
and then you're the descendant of that person, like, you would see the hate you would get. I know this was made in 2012, so not quite where we're at now, like the cancel culture and all that shit.
Oh my God, dude.
But like, you could imagine that people could be like that, because I know there's stories in Salem of people who, not only people who are descendants of the people who were accused of being witches, but people who are descendants of the actual judges and people of Salem, of old Salem village,
old parishioners
that did, accuse these people.
Absolutely.
And they get hate mail and shit like that. And it's like, dude, it's not your fault, man.
Right.
So it's kind of cool that he, if you go into that history of it, Heidi being an addict kind of makes sense, where, maybe she does feel this guilt for being the descendant of Hawthorne.
I feel like you get that in a lot of movies now too, where there's an underlying factor that people don't take it serious.
Yeah.
Going to the Evil Dead remake.
Yeah.
I mean, she was an addict. That's why she was there. That's why when she said she could smell all them smells, you know what I mean? You're hypersensitive right now.
Exactly.
It's because you're having withdrawals.
Like it's all connected.
And it's all just written off because they're an addict or they're a recovering addict or whatever the, case may be. So I think that's an underlying thing in a lot of horror movies, and it probably has been for a long fucking time.
Oh, of course. So yeah, that's that. If you get into the history of it, like, it makes sense that she's an addict.
Yep.
And it's such a cool idea to have her be a Hawthorne.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just the descendant, and obviously the curse in the movie, from Margaret Morgan, right? Is that right?
Margaret Morgan.
Yeah, who's played by Meg Foster. The whole thing is that your descendant is going to birth the child of Satan, pretty much, right?
Right. And I love the fact that Matthias's wife, doesn't, when he asks, did you hear the music, or did you happen to record the music after the interview and all that stuff? She goes, yes. It's amazing what passes as music now and all this stuff. And he wasn't concerned about the music. He was more concerned about the Lords of Salem. Exactly. You know what I mean? But
because he had heard that term
until
before.
You're wondering, because you see everybody else kind of go into that trance.
All the daughters, quote unquote.
Right.
All the people who are born in Salem.
And he explains it later. My wife isn't from here.
Exactly.
She's a kind of a transplant. She's not from Salem, blah, 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 all this stuff. So then it kind of hits you, okay, that's why she wasn't affected. That's why she could play the music on the piano. That's why she could do all these things.
And that's why it's labeled as the daughters, quote unquote.
Exactly.
These descendants of the old Salem village.
With the filth from the flaps in between their legs.
Yeah, which is wild language.
Love it, dude.
But it was cool. I also thought it was cool by Rob to this is just coming from like appreciating cinema and how movies are written. Mm-hmm. And how you have to think about certain things in order because sometimes as a director, you kind of have to be like, oh, I got to make sure this kind of gets across to the audience a little bit better.
Right. In a certain way.
Yeah.
Right.
And not just for like the deep thinkers.
Yeah.
I'm not calling anybody out there stupid. Right. I'm just saying. Sometimes it goes
over people's heads. Even when it's explained sometimes.
Yeah. So I thought it was cool that he made her like foreign as well. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of stating like, obviously, she's not from Salem. Right. So making his wife foreign.
Right. She had the accent. She was
exactly.
dark complected.
So not only do they say that she's not from Salem, but you understand fully that she's not
from around here.
So it makes complete sense right off the bat. And I think that was kind of a brilliant move. Well, maybe not brilliant, but a smart move by him as a director to be like, you know what, let's make her foreign. Let's put a foreign actor in here and make sure that people 100% know that she's not a descendant of Salem.
Right.
To kind of piece that part of the story together.
And I think a lot of people would still miss it until it's really explained.
Like I said, you got to watch it a few times.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And I really like Matthias's character.
I do too.
Of picking it up right from the beginning.
It's almost a damn shame the way he goes out too. I know. Just the frying pan to the head over and
one
over
after
again.
another.
Right.
But I like his.
And of course, it's Dee that does it. Like
Dee does no wrong.
Great.
Dee Wallace does no wrong.
She's a crazy bitch. Man.
I love her.
She is a crazy bitch. They were all three of them.
Cujo and E.T.
And the Hills Have Eyes.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, like, goodness gracious. She has
so good.
She has a pedigree, like...
Yeah, The Howling, all those movies, dude. So
I mean,
good.
She's definitely got a repertoire under her belt.
And, I just loved his character and how they piece together. Like, he's putting it all together in the background. Like, oh, this is... Like, he's like, holy shit, this is real, man. Like, this... Are you kidding me? Like, once he puts it all together and then finds out that she's a descendant, he looks up the family tree, right? And if sure enough, it's on the internet. You're like, he's like, holy shit. Like, it makes fucking sense, right?
I think he says, fuck me.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly
what you would. You'd be like, holy fuck, this is crazy.
Right.
Like, imagine if you were putting together a story like that, being like, oh, fuck, like, could this be real? Because he's talking to his buddy again at the museum where they're like, oh, Hawthorne was obsessed with these Lords of Salem.
Right, and he started just talking gibberish. And
they have like the last 5 journal entries or something in this book, right?
Yeah. I see. I love stuff like that. If it really existed,
and if it was real,
That's what I was just going to say. If that was real, I mean, that's the type of thing that you want to get your hands on, and you want to be able to read and see, and like.
That's what's brilliant about movies like this, and it's not a period piece, but it kind of is in the sense that it gives you a lot of history in the background.
Exactly. Yeah. And because there's some real and there's some not real that goes with it. Yeah.
Exactly. And Zombie keeps it mostly historically accurate with the information and with like the tools, like the torture tools and stuff.
In the cage.
They really did burn
people.
Yeah.
In her room.
Yeah, and it's swaying. It's such a cool shot.
Right, yeah.
And those were really used on people. They were burned alive in those things.
Man.
And the masks, the iron masks they put on them.
Right.
Just so like their soul wouldn't leave their, they wouldn't be able to leave and all this crazy shit. And it's just, so it's cool that he used all that information. It just really helps you. And I can't wait for you because when we go to Salem again, you're coming with me. We're gonna do a whole live.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna do a whole. We're gonna get a bunch of content. We were supposed
to go last year,
and we just couldn't do it because of COVID,
the China virus, right?
And we're gonna you're gonna be blown away when you go to like the witch house. Oh, and really, it's not a witch house. It's a judge's house where they performed a lot of like the court cases and stuff like that. Well,
I've been to a lot of those places because I went with school.
Yeah, but now it's just like you go in, you're like original beams. Like you're standing in a room
where this actually happened.
People were standing in the 1600s.
Right.
Being like, oh my God, like I think there's witches out here to get us. You're like, what the fuck, dude?
It's unbelievable.
Crazy.
It's unbelievable.
It's insane, dude. And it's cool that he added that historical information into the movie. And if you know about it, it makes the movie that much better.
Right. Yeah, and I want to jump back a little bit to when she starts seeing all this shit, and then she goes and takes a walk with her dog to the church.
Yeah.
Because that scene alone. I mean, she goes in and she just says she felt like something was calling her to the church, and the priest says, "Well, we're never closed." She said, "Are you? I didn't even know if you guys were open." She says, "Well, we're never closed," and she sits down, starts talking with him, and then you just get the feel he puts his arm around her, and then, of course, he has her, give him a little blowjob, you know what I mean? And it's a very graphic scene.
Yeah.
I mean, her head bobbing up and down, and
of course,
and he's
sounds.
The sounds, right?
Sounds are pretty graphic.
And Zombie knows. I mean, it's not something you want to be sitting with your parents watching. You know what I mean?
Absolutely not.
You don't want to be sitting there watching this movie with your parents. No matter how old you are.
Yeah.
You're like, ugh. And then, of course, it's all a dream, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she runs out, and then she starts seeing visions outside.
Yeah, she started
with the goat, with the I don't know how I would explain that face.
No, but it's throughout the entire thing too, with the nurses and the surgical people, and then the priests. Yes. It's all the same type of. It almost like face looks as if they were burnt.
That's what I was trying. That's what I was going to say too. And it's almost like a melted face.
I don't know if that's what he was going for, but it kind of looks like it because when the witches are burning at the stake, they kind of have that same look. They're starting to get charred and black.
Right.
Either that or it's just showing like, Satan's little helpers there.
Right.
Know?
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of those where she starts to kind of trip out and like. Those normal like possession stages that we see in movies.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of those, and that scene in the church is one of the more heavier ones that you see.
It's a heavy scene because they're in a church.
Yeah.
I mean, they're sitting on the
pews.
The pews, right?
Yeah.
And then that happens, and it's like,
it's intense.
Holy shit,
Yeah, and he gives that whole speech where you're almost like you almost can't pay attention because she's just giving him dome. You know what I mean? But you're like, I'm trying to get it. Like, shit, like this is happening. And it starts to get really intense from there. She starts to see, not to mention, go back to like Apartment 5 here, which plays a prominent role in this movie. Yep. Apartment 5, where she
sees that's right from jump,
some sort of beast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What? It's like Bigfoot. Dude.
Yeah. First of all, I think it's Tiny from House of a Thousand Corpses.
No shit.
I'm pretty sure it was him, but he might have already been passed on. But it looks like him the way he walks.
Yeah.
I think it might have been one of his later roles, but. Yeah, it kind of looked like him the way he moved. I was like, I think that's Tiny.
When she goes in and the Red Cross is there.
Yeah.
Not the Red Cross, but the Red Cross.
Not the Red Cross, but the neon red illuminated cross. Right. Yeah, and
don't want to confuse that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
No. We're not trying to
bash on the Red Cross here.
But yeah, she has those weird things that happen in Apartment 5 where. And there's a lot of scenes where Margaret Morgan is in like the back of her apartment, and you see the old witch kind of just
up in the corner where she's feeding the dog.
Dude, it's really disturbing. It's really good. It's really well done.
And Margaret Morgan, very erotic. I mean, goodness, right from the get-go. Right from jump, dude. There is erotic scene after erotic scene in this movie.
Yeah, and we get that's the horror way, but this is in a different. Style.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. Very sexy. Very
God. We get some old women.
Old saggy titties. Old saggy pussy.
Some old witch bodies.
Old saggy everything.
Yeah.
I will say this. Margaret Morgan, she's got some guns on her, dude. She's a little jacked.
Yeah,
she's a little bit jacked.
What is nice is after that we get Heidi naked in bed. So I think that's your
real erotic moment.
Yeah, your erotic moment.
See, I always like to put my very erotic moment on a scene that should not be erotic at all. Even going back to the witch with the crow sucking that girl's titty.
On the witch, yeah, that's a tough one.
I like to.
You gotta have it,
the weird shit,
especially in but it's back to Rob Zombie's like realism with this movie is how these people were portrayed and how they would have been if it was real.
Right.
Very, very satanic, very dark and dirty and.
Oh, they were very dirty. They were dirty girls.
Very, very dirty.
Very dirty girls.
So anyway, I mean, when we get to the end of this movie, I mean, Heidi's straight up flipping out. She's buying drugs now. She understands that. What I wanted to know is, and I wanted to run this by you, like, did she know her fate at this point? Because when she sits down with the three sisters that live down below her, obviously our new witches, right?
Right.
They say, fate and destiny are very different because your destiny you can change and push forward to.
Right.
Whereas your fate is no matter what happens, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and then
there's no outcome that you can change.
And she kind of says, well, I don't want to go there. I don't want to know that.
Yeah.
And then, well, actually, she gets a little more vulgar talking about the flaps between her legs and her dirty flap.
Just like the old witches there.
Exactly. And so she kind of says the same shit that they say later on in the movie.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, well, I'll figure that out later.
Yeah,
I think it's time for me to go. You know what I mean? And if somebody started saying that to you, I mean,
you'd be like, whoa.
You're like, yeah, I think.
Especially if you're drinking wine.
Right.
And
I think you've had a little too much to drink, and my dirty flaps are just fine.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think. Do you think by the end she just knew because? You definitely have that scene at the very end where they go into the show where the performance where the Lords of Salem are supposed to be playing.
Right. Well,
and she leaves them outside and she says, bye, goodbye. Like almost like she knew that this is what's going to happen.
Well, I think she knew. I think she was almost brainwashed before then because when Whitey knocks on her door and she answers the door, is her name Sunny? The landlord?
Yes.
She comes up and she says...
Sunny is Dee Wallace.
Oh, Sunny is Dee Wallace. But
so it's either Megan or...
Yeah, her landlord there.
The main girl
when she comes up and says, you can tell Whitey to wait outside.
Yeah.
And she's like, I think you should wait outside. I think she's brainwashed at that point.
Because she's already gone into apartment 5 again and seen some crazy shit.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah. She's grabbing the umbilical cord of that weird fucking little thing.
That thing freaks me the fuck out, too.
Yeah.
It really...
And you could tell they probably put a little money into that. Because
probably $1 million.
But it's all practical effects, man.
That's what I love
well
about
done.
This. Yeah.
Really well done.
They did a good job of this. And then with the priests fucking whacking their fucking dildos.
Yeah. And then John 5 out there. Like,
it's just...
They bring that band back into it, kind of. Like, where, like, they were preaching the word of Satan. You know what I mean? Yeah. And, like, it kind of, you know... She's wearing like the shirt of it at that point too when she's in the theater. But I just kind of thought she had this feeling of like, it's my fate. I understand that this is happening to me now.
And I can't change it.
I can't change it.
Because she's almost been taught to believe that or told to believe that. You know what I mean? And maybe...
And if you're the descendant of Hawthorne too, like it's just, you understand that if something, like not that it's like...
Yeah, the curse
Not that it's like normal, but it's like... If it was going to happen to anybody, it's probably
going to happen to me, right?
Probably going to be you, yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, you kind of realize probably, like my ancestor actually was doing the right thing. He wasn't just a scumbag, right? He was actually sending these bitches back to the pits of hell, right?
Exactly.
But you have to pay for it. That's the curse. That's the fate. The fate can't be changed no matter whatever happens. Right. Can't be changed. And she kind of does that when she goes into the she goes into the door of the amphitheater there, or not the amphitheater, but the theater itself. Mm-hmm. And she's just kind of like, goodbye. Like it's over.
Yeah. Wait. You know.
And he tries to run after her, and it's like, no, that's it.
Right.
And then fate kind of takes its course, where we get a crazy last 10-minute sequence of her riding a goat and like
very erotic too.
Yeah, I mean, all the like women undressing,
and she looks good at this point. Yeah, I mean, she's come out of that funk that she was in. She doesn't have the scabs on her face from the drugs.
Not to mention, she has, this is a little symbolism here too. She has the heart tattooed on her, and it's the same of Jesus in that famous.
Yeah, in the picture.
Yeah,
and then at the very end, I know we're jumping right to the end when she's standing on the pile of bodies.
Yeah.
Tattoo's gone.
So
I was going to ask you what you thought about that too. Was that her?
I think it was, to me, it was kind of like...
Because it was obviously done on purpose.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like fate fulfilled a little bit. Like everything has run its course now at this point. Because she goes missing after that, right? Like,
right.
You don't know what happened to her.
Her eyes are white.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at with the Midsummer thing, where she's portrayed as this...
May Queen.
No, but better. I'm saying better. Right, like this is like this didn't get the recognition that it should have, where Midsummer kind of took that idea.
I hated Midsummer. I really did. Not what we're talking about. I know, I really did. I didn't like anything that they did with that movie though, because it was, yes, I know, the May Queen. It was all about making her the May Queen and all that shit. And this is, I get what you're saying.
Do you see what I'm saying?
It's almost the same thing where
they're making her. It's her fate.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? She has no choice in the matter now.
Right.
Whereas maybe in Midsummer she kind of does, and she makes like the wrong choice a little bit.
She definitely has a choice.
But like this one is the same type of thing where like this girl is like portrayed as like this. Now she's like this satanic. She's the mother of Satan's child. You know what I mean? Like where she's
the mother of the Antichrist, right?
Yeah. Now she gives birth to this tentacle-looking thing, and now she's no longer a rag doll. Now she's Now she's upper echelon.
Right.
In whatever you want to call it. You know?
So when she goes into the apartment 5,
yeah.
Okay, and it's all prestigious, and she sees the stairs, and at the top of the stairwell she sees whatever. What you know, is that her baby? Is that that,
you don't really
is that
know.
The symbolism of what it's supposed to be?
Yeah, I think
when she grabs the umbilical cord or tentacles or whatever
I think it's because Satan's child is already like a being, a demon, but like he needs to be born into the mortal world.
Right.
So like, yeah, technically like that's maybe what he is, and then you give birth and he's this tentacle looking creature, you know what I mean?
Right.
But he's already a mystical being rather than in the mortal world. So it's kind of like the transition, I think, you know?
And then when you see it standing next to her bed.
Yeah, that's what I get out of it.
You know,
anyway.
and then there's that scene where she's sitting on a bed in that prestigious room.
Yeah.
And you have the poster of the moon behind her. So it's almost like she's envisioning all of this, but really she's just sitting on her bed.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? She's not in this prestigious room.
No.
She's not in this great, grand, ballroom.
Exactly.
She's literally sitting on her bed and all this stuff is happening to her.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked how they did that. I kind of wish it explained it a little bit more. But I think if you watch it a few times, you kind of see, that's definitely symbolism. You know what I mean? They've definitely shown us this before.
Yeah.
Even with the poster with the guys in the bathroom with eyes and the mouth start to bleed. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We see that somewhere else in the movie too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of things that he added into it that is she just envisioning all of this? I mean, because obviously that room was not.
Oh, no, not even close.
You know what I mean? So maybe she was in that room, then she goes back to her room, or I don't know.
Well, I think it's
and
also...
Where are all the other neighbors?
Yeah, I know. There's no other neighbors.
Like, honestly,
other neighbors.
There's like fucking 10 other doors on this hallway, and nobody else sees any of this shit going on or hears any of this shit going on.
I think the thing with like the grand halls and stuff like that is more of like, I think that's like the temptation factor.
Right.
Where it's making it grand to her in order for her to
accept it or want it.
Accept it or want it a little bit more, because that's what, Satan's always been about and always been portrayed as in these movies.
Life.
Exactly. Yeah. It's represented as lust or the pleasures in life, and making it grand and making it what you want it to be. And maybe that makes it a little bit easier for her to just accept that this is my fate. I'm going to be a queen, and it's not a queen that I necessarily want to be, but it's still a queen, right?
Right.
That type of thing. And we see that at the end where she has like the crown and she's got the white eyes, but she looks happy at this point. It has that feeling of like, and now at this point, the witch sisters are bowing to her. Everybody's bowing to her,
right?
Rather than the other way around, where she's just this nobody who's trying to be better. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think that's what it is. It's temptation, and it makes it easier for her. And that's the whole series we go through for the last like 10 minutes of the movie of her going through lust and just the teasing factor of everything and temptation and all that stuff. It's kind of like running its course on her. It's kind of her like accepting everything,
right? Because
like she has no more to fight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, obviously, she gives in and everybody's dead, right? It's a huge sacrifice.
Right.
Now Satan's son is born into this world. She goes missing.
One hell of a scene there, too.
Yeah.
Where she's strapped down and all the witches are around her, just rubbing her own blood all over her.
Yeah, very erotic.
Dude, you took the words right out of my fucking mouth. Yeah. Very erotic.
Yeah.
That scene, I mean, good God. You don't have a half chub standing up after that fucking thing. I don't know. You don't have a fucking...
Yeah. And also very like, how would you say it? Like, come full circle with the revenge story of it.
Right. Yeah.
The Lords of Salem, those 6 coming back and taking revenge on all the descendants.
Okay.
She says that line where she's like, I can smell all your ancestors rotting in the earth. You know what I mean? Like, this is my revenge towards all of you because of what you did to us, that type of thing.
And to go back to what you said at the beginning, he could almost make a trilogy out of this.
Yes.
You do a prequel.
Yes.
And then you do a sequel. I mean, and it's kind of, okay, yeah, we have the prequel. We know the premise of that. We know it's Hawthorne.
Absolutely.
We know what the 6 witches, 7
we know,
witches.
you know the ending.
You know the ending. Outcome. However, the sequel.
Now, I have an idea. What's your idea? What do you got?
We bring of course, baby's back.
Yeah, you bring her back.
But then I don't know where you would go from there. I, you know what I mean? I'm not completely sure. There's obviously some supernatural. I mean, you have a baby. You have the Antichrist now.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't know if you go the Omen style. I don't know if...
See, I would like a completely... And this is more creative probably than people would like... I think this is more far-fetched than people would think. But if you went the Rob Zombie route, I think you go... Especially with like... the anti-hero feel that he's always done in his films, where you like root for the bad guy.
Right.
This movie, you don't necessarily do that. But in a sequel, I think you could.
Right.
I think at this point, if you did a sequel...
So you're going to root for the Antichrist?
No. Hear me out on this. No, even crazier.
Right.
Hear me out on this. What if you had a sequel where Because obviously she's the descendant. The curse is that the female descendant of Hawthorne is going to birth the child of Satan. So obviously she's one of the first in a long lineage tree here. Mm-hmm. She's the female that births, right? Mm-hmm. So what if you make it so there is a male descendant?
A brother.
Exactly.
We didn't know about it.
We didn't know. Right. There's a Hawthorne brother, and he's just as fucking crazy as John Hawthorne. And now he's the witch hunter, right?
Love it.
Now he's going after to see what happened to his sister, that type of thing. And he's just as sadistic. He's what you picture Hawthorne back in the day of doing this to real people.
Right.
But he's really doing it to witches. But he's just as evil. He's just as... It's almost like the cop in Devil's Rejects.
And you know who you get to play the brother?
Who?
What's his name? From 31. Popcorn in Hell.
I'm not crazy, but I'm in control.
Yeah.
Richard Brake.
Richard Brake.
It would be fucking unbelievable.
Richard Brake is Baby's brother.
And he's
Hawthorne.
He's
like
a
Hawthorne.
He's Richard Hawthorne. You know what I mean?
Richard Hawthorne.
And he comes through, and maybe even the descendant, him and the descendant of Dean Magnus, who Sid Haig played, are like still they're really good friends for just out of the blue, right? And it's all fate,
right? It's
all coming back together. Now it's the revenge of John Hawthorne,
right?
Taking control of the witches again, and now he's gonna burn them at the stake again, and now we get a full revenge burn his story.
Own fucking sister.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's full revenge, and he's just as sadistic as they are. But it's almost the anti-hero feel where you're like, I want that Otis Driftwood type of character, but for good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Now he's going after the. It's just comes full circle. Like I would love.
I love it.
I would love to see that.
I'd love to see Brake play that role too. Man, Brake would kill it.
Just the descendant of Hawthorne.
He would kill it.
The male descendant of Hawthorne. He comes back to burn the witches again.
Oh man,
would that be good? And maybe he uses the same tools. He builds these trapped, these cages and these helmets. You know what I mean?
Right.
Would that be good? Full circle again.
Oh yeah.
I'm the descendant of John Hawthorne, and like he's badass and he's fucking
wearing
mean.
a fucking Puritan.
And and he's evil. He's evil as shit, but like he gets the job done. That type of thing. Oh, I would love to see that.
Love it. I love that.
I think that would be a great prequel where we start off with Hawthorne being this sadistic asshole that like he's portrayed as because he burned all these innocent people alive.
Right, and you almost don't like him.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right. You don't, right.
Yeah, but in reality, you don't like him, but in reality, he's the hero. You
understand
because he's taking down evil.
Exactly, yes.
And
he may make a mistake every once in a while.
Exactly.
But not all the time.
And then in Lords of Salem, you get the innocent Heidi. She turns evil, right? Mm-hmm. She gets seduced, and then in the sequel, we get full circle again. The sadistic
Richard
character,
Hawthorne.
the anti-hero that wins. You know what I mean? Takes down the witches. Dude, I would love that, man.
Or he doesn't win.
I would love to. I would just love to see him win in a weird sadistic way, though. Like just taking all brutality out, not like just really like. You know what I mean?
Being sadistic, dude. Just being a psychopath, a lunatic.
Taking him out. Like, I would love to see that sequel come full circle, and like
I would too.
The Hawthorns win in the end.
Yep.
But it's like in this weird, crazy, violent way. You know what I mean? Taking out the because in that situation, if you were going to do a sequel, what are you going to do? Just have like Satan's child like grow up and win? Like that's no fun.
Yeah,
like,
no.
It's just like it's over. That's it. That's bringing hell on earth. That's the apocalypse. You can't do that.
And you could do a lot. You could do a lot of things with that movie too.
Yeah, like you need him to lose, but you want to do it in like this violent, vulgar way,
right? Of
like the Rob Zombie way. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Oh man, would I love that? Oh,
I love that idea too.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
I love it. That is very good. What we need to get in some of these people's ears.
I know, right, man? That would be so cool. But the problem is like the Lords of Salem wasn't as popular as the Halloween movies, or
but that's such bullshit though. Because Halloween had a name before this though.
Of course,
House of a Thousand Corpses wasn't as popular as it is now.
No, especially with Rejects,
right? And then
Rejects comes out, and then it's like
Rejects, and then it's huge.
I mean, a lot of people who are just like basic horror fans have seen Rejects and don't even know that House of a Thousand Corpses is a thing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
They're like, oh, what?
They're like, what? There's a prequel? It's like, that's the first story, dog.
Right.
Like, that's the real story. Right. And it's way more crazy than Rejects, even though Rejects is a great movie.
Rejects is a great movie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take... 3 from Hell is just fucking awful.
It really is, man.
3 from Hell, I've watched it one time and I'm like,
that's it. I have no
desire to watch it again. If I want to go see them go down to Mexico and fucking have a shootout with a drug cartel.
With like cartel, yeah. What am I watching?
I'll watch fucking Miami Vice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll watch like Sons of Anarchy.
Right. I'll watch
shit
Sons
like that.
of Anarchy.
Like, I don't need to watch these horror anti-heroes go be action heroes.
Exactly.
Like, I don't need to see that.
And that's the route he took in it, and it really disappoints me. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
You know, and then the Halloween. I think he's really had some missteps in some of his movies, but he hasn't had creative control over all of them.
No.
And he hasn't had complete creative control over
and weird things have happened. Like, I give him a pass on 3 from Hell because like Sid Haig couldn't be the character that they wanted him to be.
I get that too, but I think that when that happened, they probably pushed a little bit more on Sharon Moon,
and they should have with Break.
Yeah, and we've talked about that in the past.
Even though it still would have been like too late of a character like that to come in, but still it would have been better than trying to make Baby crazier than she already was.
Has been crazy enough from jump. I mean,
she was crazier in House.
She was crazier in
House. And then you see more of the
of
human side of her in
Rejects.
Yeah.
And then in 3 from Hell, it's like, this fucking chick has been off her fucking meds.
Yeah, isn't that weird with that trilogy? We're getting way off Salem here, Lords of Salem here, but like House of a Thousand Corpses has this like supernatural feel to it.
Absolutely.
And then Rejects has this anti-hero
the
drama feel. And then 3 from Hell has like an action movie feel.
Yeah, it's almost like 3 different movies.
Yeah, it's like, what happened?
If you didn't...
You wouldn't believe that the Firefly family...
Firefly...
Say that 3 times fast. Firefly family from House was the same as in...
No.
Like, imagine watching House and then skipping Rejects and watching 3 from Hell. You'd be like, wait.
Right. And no mention of Dr. Satan ever again. No mention of...
no.
And actually, you... You sent me a video. Was it from...
Oh, yeah. It was the deleted scenes of Rejects.
And
it's the beginning.
In the beginning. And Dr. Satan is in that.
Why they have him, like, captured.
Why delete
that? They
have
Dr. Satan captured.
Why do you delete that scene?
That completely connects everything.
That boggled me.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about it, I know when we did the House episode, and it was like, how do you just get rid of a character like that?
Yeah.
How do you never...
Such a big character.
But maybe they did it because maybe in the future there's going
to be another one. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So maybe they didn't want to...
But Rob Zombie has come out and said that's probably not going to happen, which maybe I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he wants to, and there's just no funding there. He has to do what he did with...
You're telling me he doesn't have $1.5 million to make a fucking movie?
No, he probably does, but I think he saw what happened with like 31.
31
where it was
fan-funded,
and it's just not good.
It was not great.
It's an okay story, and I pulled for it so bad.
Yeah.
And it's just not what...
Break was great in it.
Yeah, Break
was great in it.
Yeah.
I mean, you found a gem.
Yeah.
You found a fucking gem.
Yeah, but that was it.
And that was it. Like,
because Break's also been in a bunch of other shit.
He's been in a bunch of other shit. It wasn't like Zombie discovered him, but I think he's also a guy who Zombie would kind of bring into his entourage of guys. Like,
yeah. Well, he could have done that with 3 from Hell, and he just didn't. Sucks, man. Anyway, Lords of Salem.
Yeah, we've gone way off.
We've gone way off topic, but that's what we do with Rob Zombie. That's what we did with the first episode with House and Rejects and 3 from Hell.
And
that's what we did with this
sell
one.
out once.
Right? That's good. That's good, right? Because this movie is one of a kind, in my opinion. I love this movie. It is
one of a kind.
And it's for the absolute horror fan. Mm-hmm. It's not for anybody else. Like, you could go watch Halloween if you were a casual horror fan because of the name. You could go, maybe not Halloween, but like maybe not House, but like Rejects you could go watch, I think, and it's
right.
You could deal with it if you were just the average horror fan.
It's probably the most mainstream non-Halloween movie that he has.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's good.
Yeah, it is.
I have no problem with that.
I love Rejects.
I mean,
Rejects is great. But Lords of Salem is like his pinnacle of work, I think, where he that was his follow-up to House and Rejects for me.
Right.
Like, you forget 31, you forget 3 from Hell, you forget Halloween 2. like Lords of Salem was like the next one that was like, oh shit, Rob Zombie did it again. He did it again.
Right.
And it was awesome.
Right.
It was so good, man. It's dark as hell. It's just about as dark as you can get it.
It's his darkest movie.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, House is pretty
fucking dark too.
Yeah.
Especially with Otis fucking the corpse. And,
yeah.
I mean, there's some shit in there that
Dwight being a mermaid.
Yeah, no.
And then just Dr. Satan.
And the thing is, they had to cut so much of that shit out.
I know.
I mean, I'd love to see at some point, someday, a director's cut
of Lords.
No, of House.
Oh, I would love to see Lords too.
Oh yes. Well, no, I see Lords. I feel like this is the director's cut because he had complete control.
But you said that. You did mention that he could have. There was some scenes he wanted to throw in there that he couldn't. They had to
just time restrictions and all that stuff.
Like I really think he wanted to go deeper with. It's probably not filmed. You're correct,
right?
But I think he wanted to go deeper with the old Salem village and all those scenes, and I think that would have been like if we got a 2.5 hour movie with that. Like a half hour of more of old Salem village and the original 6 Lords of Salem.
Right.
Oh man, that would have been badass, dude.
He should just go to fucking Plymouth.
Yeah.
And fucking just take it over. Say, I'm gonna give you fucking $500,000 for 2 weeks. I don't know, a month. Take 2 months. Fuck it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know the revenue that place gets. Whatever the revenue is for 2 months at prime tour, even non-prime tourist season, go in the fucking winter.
Of Salem, you mean?
Go to Plymouth where it's all set up and just kind of play it off as Salem.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? It's already set up.
Yeah,
everything's built. It's a set. It's a set ready to film.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right now.
Oh, you totally could.
Somebody could do that right now.
You could do it the way. It's not like you have to show a whole village.
Right.
You could do like they did, Eggers did with The Witch, where you show, some houses built here and there, and then you pan off into the woods because that's where this is built.
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, you don't see much from The Witch. I mean, you see.
Yeah, but that's the whole point.
The very beginning.
But it's the same thing with Lords of Salem, where they were on the out. They literally mention it. They were on the outskirts of the woods of Salem Village, playing Satan's music,
right,
to lure the daughters of Salem in.
Yep.
That's all you have to do.
Yep.
So you get a glimpse of maybe some old colonial houses.
Yep.
And then you pull away and you go to the woods.
Yep.
That's all you got to do.
Love it.
It's like a fucked up Hocus Pocus, man. It's sick.
We gonna bring up Hocus Pocus.
I love Hocus Pocus, dude. It's so good.
I refuse to watch it.
Doesn't even matter. Everybody watching agrees with me.
You tried making me watch it at
Everybody
Halloween.
Watching agrees with me.
You tried making me watch it Halloween night.
If you're out there and you love Hocus Pocus, make sure you like this podcast. Okay, and make sure you leave it in the comments.
But if you like Ernest Scared Stupid,
well, that's bullshit. They probably like both.
Yeah, but I like that's my fun.
Yeah.
Halloween
So you're saying who likes which one better? Because you know you're gonna lose. You know you're gonna lose. You know you're gonna lose. I love Ernest Scared Stupid, but you're gonna lose because Ernest has way more other movies too. He does every holiday.
Let's not get in. We got to do Ernest Scared Stupid.
Hocus Pocus is gonna win, bro. Okay. Anyway, we're at the end of our episode here. Thank you for tuning in. We kind of went into like a history class, which I kind of liked because that's kind of what this movie's about. It has historical information.
And it's a great movie.
It's filmed.
It's dark
it's a great movie.
Shit.
It is dark as fuck. And one of Zombie's best for sure. I think, not a lot of people talk about this movie that I see on social media. It's not really mentioned that much, especially talking about Rob Zombie. It's mostly House, mostly Rejects, mostly Halloween. Not a lot of 31, which is fine. Not a lot of 3 from Hell since it came out, which is fine and dandy. But not as much Lords of Salem as I would like to see.
No, it should be higher up on the scale, especially for true horror fans.
Yeah.
But like you said, unless you're a true horror fan, you're not going to like this movie.
No,
this movie doesn't really speak to the casual horror fan. They're going to watch this and they're going to be like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah, you're like, this is fucked up.
I mean, in the first 10 minutes, you see 7 naked fucking old women dancing around.
Right from the get-go. And that's what's fucked up is I'm a horror fan. I wanted more of that. Like, I wanted those types of scenes. You know what I mean? Throughout the whole thing.
I hear you. I fucking hear you.
And who knows? Maybe we'll get a prequel. Maybe we'll get a sequel. Maybe probably not. But I'd love to dream about it. Anyway, that's our episode today. Just to let you know, you can go to our YouTube channel. If you're watching this on video, please subscribe and like the channel. Spread the word to your friends. If you're listening on any audio platforms, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, thank you for listening. If you want video, head over to the YouTube page.
Yep.
We also have some new merch in the store. We have our Home of Horror podcast shirts.
Yep.
We also have our new New England Home of Horror werewolf flannel design logo, which is unbelievable.
Love it.
It's made by artist Scott Jackson, who works for Monster Man Graphics. Very big horror artist. He does stuff for Rue Morgue, a bunch of horror conventions. He does all their artwork and stuff like that. He did our logo. Go check it out. Go purchase a t-shirt, sticker, sweatshirt, whatever you want. The link is in our bio on our Instagram page, which is in our YouTube link and also on our audio platform links. So click that. You can go buy the merch. And we also have a pretty cool project in the works right now, Matt.
Little short story.
A little short film that we're filming. We don't want to give too much away right now because it's just it's bare bones right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've written the screenplay and we've started filming the beginning scenes and stuff like that. So we're still working on some stuff.
Just having some fun,
We're having some fun, and we had talked about this on our podcast with John Campopiano, where
you could do with no budget.
What you could do with no budget, and we wanted to see what we could do for a short film with no budget. So that's what we're working on. We'll have more information on that coming soon. We'll probably update every episode here and let you know where we're at with that. And then eventually we will release the short film on YouTube, and we will probably do an episode on it, I'd have to guess. So we're looking forward to that. We hope you are too. We're very happy that you tuned in to watch on YouTube or listen on any of the audio platforms. Very excited for episode 19. We'll be doing Hatchet 2. Part of our maybe 2
and 3. We haven't decided
yet. Yeah,
yet.
Maybe 2 and 3. It's part of our Hatchet series. We did Hatchet last episode 17. We wanted to keep going with that franchise because people really liked that first episode. So we might do 2. We might do 2 and 3. But we're going to keep going with that next episode. So make sure you tune in for that and stay tuned for any other content.
Yeah, and then after that, we got the big episode 2-0.
We got big episode 2-0 after the next episode. This is 18. We got 19 to do, and then we got the big 2-0.
And we're really up in the air on what we want to do there.
We're going to do something big.
It's going to be something good.
We're going to do something
It's going to be something really good.
So look forward to Hatchet.
Probably Halloween H2O.
Which would be perfect, really, but geez. So yeah, look forward to episode 19. We're doing Hatchet 2, maybe Hatchet 2 and 3.
We'll figure it out.
And then episode 20, and then obviously our short film coming soon. We'll keep you guys updated on that. So thank you for joining us. And Matt, take it out.
May the power of Christ compel you.
See you later, guys.
Cheers.
Appreciate you guys. Home of Horror, the Home of Horror podcast. Home of Horror, the Home of Horror podcast. So that's your third Stephen King?
Don't start with me, dude.
I bet they spent less than $50,000 on that movie.
$252,000.
Oh wow, really? Home of